welcome to the Gaming Discourse. I am your host, Tyler Frater, alongside Richard A. the Cruz.
Welcome back.
And Chief Engineer, Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Good evening.
It is Monday, July 14th, 2025. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Gaming Discourse. Patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse. You can support us for $247, $10. Get your name in the video credits, early access to our videos, access to our Discord server, more fun stuff like that. Also up is a rough cut of my Blacklist retrospective, Splinter Cell Blacklist. I am on like semi-vacation right now, so that's going to stay up for a few weeks, and then in a couple weeks I will get down to, I'm going to rewrite parts of the script that I think can be improved, and then I'm going to go back into the edit bay and rearrange things and reorganize it, and hopefully by the end of July I will have completed Splinter Cell, all of the retro reviewing all of the Splinter Cell games. And man, yes, Richard.
Since we're on this topic of Splinter Cell, I'm inadvertently blaming your videos on the sudden sharp uptick in the value of Splinter
Really?
Cell.
It's your fault.
Yeah, Splinter Cell Double Agent on original Xbox.
I'm flattered, but I highly doubt that.
Because I took one in and somehow now all of a sudden it's like $35-$40.
I would assume it is interesting though, because the two versions of Double Agent are completely different.
You mean 4? I'm being facetious because the PSP one is like
that's
weird.
Essentials.
Yeah,
The
Essentials.
PSP one has missions from Double Agent, but also missions from Chaos Theory. It's
So
like
weird.
a strange compilation. Yeah, that one's really, the Essentials is really strange, but it's also strange in that Essentials does interesting storytelling as well, which because one of the main villain of Chaos Theory, Douglas Shetland, has a history with Sam because they were both Navy SEALs, and so you see a little bit of Douglas Shetland in Pandora Tomorrow, but you don't really know a whole lot about him, and you learn most about him in Splinter Cell Essentials because he was captured during when he and Sam were in South America with the SEALs. So it's like you learn a little interesting bit about their history there, which makes Chaos Theory kind of puts Chaos Theory into a sharper light because you see some of their actual history as opposed to just, hey, remember that time we were in this country? You know, like or tomorrow.
Those little like throwaway lines that they do.
Yeah. But the Xbox version of Double Agent is superior to the 360 version. And off the top of my head, I'm going to assume most people I'm going to assume the 360 version probably was the one that sold the most. And I think if in most people's heads, when they think about Double Agent, they think about that one because it was the Xbox 360 and it was 2006 when it came out, I think.
Yeah.
So it was like right at the beginning of like a hugely successful console generation for Xbox.
It is
and the other one was at the tail end of the Xbox,
right.
You know, so.
And it is seemingly one that people, because when you have a franchise, long-running franchise, there are things or versions people tend to skip. I think Double Agent was a big game that fans of Splinter Cell skipped or maybe just missed because I don't see that game a lot at all.
Yeah.
For any of them, even 360, I don't see it like all the time. I know it sold well, but
Or it's so loved.
Yeah.
That no one gets rid of it.
No, it could be that too. Just
I don't know
like
about that, but it was also it was sort of Splinter Cell was just a weird series because Chaos Theory was an evolution, and I talk about all this in the videos and different parts of the other videos as well. But Chaos Theory was like an evolution of Splinter Cell structure, and then Double Agent came along, and the Xbox version of Double Agent did a lot of the same stuff that Chaos Theory did, but it didn't really evolve it any further. I consider it like a step to the side, where there's some really good level design and there's some fun design, but it's nothing necessarily new.
More of a side grade than an upgrade.
Yeah, and the 360 version kind of reverted back to like the more linear, like Pandora Tomorrow and the original Splinter Cell, and they also did like big cinematic moments and exciting moments. And I think they struggled with the Double Agent mechanic. One of the main differences, because you know, in Double Agent, you work for the NSA. Sam works for the NSA, and he's embedded with a domestic terrorist group called John Brown's Army. And so when you do things, you either gain trust for the NSA or you gain trust for John Brown's army, or you lose trust depending on what you do. In the 360 version, both trust meters are their own meter. So the NSA has a meter and the JBA has a meter. So when you complete objectives for the NSA, it fills up the NSA's meter, but nothing happens to the JBA. So there's there's very little tension.
Yeah.
Because as long as you complete the side objectives, everybody trusts you.
How does sorry, that's interesting to me, because how does Sam is obviously ordered to be a double agent, I assume, right?
Yes.
So why would he lose trust with the NSA?
The way that the stories tell it, it is not necessarily. So one,
Kept wearing this red hat.
this is complicated. This is complicated. So in the Xbox version of Double Agent, there is a mole inside Third Echelon.
Oh, okay.
So when they lose trust in Sam, it's also sort of written as this mole is looking for a reason to frame Sam.
To chop you down, okay.
Yeah, so it's like you don't lose trust as much as like somebody is out to try and frame Sam. So but the in the 360 version of Double Agent, it's just not very well written, so it's just kind of weird. But it's the same kind of thing. But in the Xbox version of Double Agent, it is 1 meter. So whenever you complete an objective, the trust goes. It's a line that goes one way or the other, right? It's a
balance.
It's balancing it. It's just not 2 meters that fill up, which means you may be forced into killing a character or doing something you don't want to do, because if you don't do that objective, you have to do something really quick to not lose the game or whatever. So it puts you in tougher binds, which I think is more interesting, and is one reason why the Xbox version is just better. But anyway, enough about Splinter Cell. Yeah, go check out Patreon, $2. You can watch the rough draft and kind of the stuff that I'm going for. And in a couple weeks I will have the final version out and we'll move on to other projects. Okay, so I've been playing games. Connor's been playing games.
Yeah.
Richard's been playing games.
A little tiny bit.
What have you been playing, Connor?
Just Phasmophobia and the show 25.
Nice.
I don't play video games really much anymore.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, it's not. Richard.
I tried out Claire Obscure.
Okay.
About 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then I was like, God damn it, my wife is going to want to see this. And so I had to stop playing it immediately. Just because it's very, very gripping from the start.
Yes,
from the start.
is.
So it's just like, okay.
It is an excellent like opening hour.
Yeah, yeah. But as I was kind of like looking around like my PlayStation bonuses, I guess, I remembered, I got Cyberpunk. And I have the Phantom Liberty DLC now. And so I was like, I got to jump into Cyberpunk again, because I left off not at a good point, because it was before Phantom Liberty came out. No, Phantom Liberty did come out. And I got the hype and I went back into it. And then I was like, well, I feel like I should get more from the story if I have Phantom Liberty. So I dropped it again. And then I came back to Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
But Cyberpunk has almost been immediately attention grabbing again.
Nice.
Like I picked up where I left off and I didn't really have a, like, what am I doing? I just kind of like went out and started doing stuff. And I did some more of the story. I did more Pan Am story. And I forgot what the gang is called because I'm not good with names. The one that's on the southwest of the city.
Oh geez, I have no idea. I'm
anyways,
completely out.
They betray you because they're trying to get the chip from the brain.
Okay, cool.
And that game is so fun. Like I'm so glad. It's really a shame the chronicle of that game of what happened, because now it's, depending on who you talk to, probably considered a classic by many nowadays. But I think what happened was, I was telling my wife about it, that anime Cyberpunk Edge Runners came out and was very good, just as the like major update that fixed everything came out. That caused everybody to go play it just in time when everything was fixed. and now the public perception is kind of like flipped.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's forgot about the original. Like before, whenever anybody talks about Cyberpunk Online, it's like they really fucked it up, but they came back. Like that's good. But
Yeah.
I wonder how much more of an impact the game would have had if they didn't screw up, or it came, or they had to fix everything.
I think that is an interesting way because it's the same thing with No Man's Sky, right?
Yeah.
Is like and I've always thought that the conversation shouldn't, I don't know, like I wrote an essay about this a couple of years ago, but I never liked the redemption like storyline. Like, oh, this game has redeemed itself, because because it's just like, no, it's just it's not about redemption or not. It's just that shouldn't have happened. Like, No Man's Sky should not have released in the state it released in.
Mm-hmm.
No game should.
Right.
Unless it's entering into early access, which if No Man's Sky had released into early access on Steam, it'd be a totally different narrative, right? And it's the same thing with Cyberpunk. It's like, well, Cyberpunk shouldn't have released in the state that it released in. And I'm not pointing fingers at specific people. I'm just stating as a fact that if you're the company that just made Witcher and you made a gajillion dollars, your next game shouldn't release in that state. I feel like that's just a really common, a really basic like expectation, especially if you're releasing it as as like a thing that is complete and ready to buy and ready to play, But at the same time, you can also appreciate the people, because it is not, a random coder at CD Projekt Red. It is not their fault that systemic problems led to the company that they work for releasing a game way too early, right?
Right.
Or whatever. So it's like, you root for those people. Well, I feel like it's not that complicated to like root for the developers, root for the people, while also having sort of the larger systemic problems in your head, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, if Starfield 2 is amazing, it's like, hey, great, good. But Starfield wasn't good. It doesn't change, the first Starfield not being good. But in any case, sorry.
I tried getting back into it.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
It just made me mad.
Oh yeah.
Because like I got a few hours and I'm like, this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I slogged through so much shit for this game.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I haven't looked back at it.
No, I totally that's why I guess I'm thankful that when it went down, I decided like, no, I'm not going to do this right now, and then come back later, because yes, now I am one of those people who are just like, it's great now, but yeah, I can't forget how bad it was at the start. And even then, I have a friend who was also very much burned by Cyberpunk, and I kind of want to go back and be like, hey, I would like you to try it again, just because. But yeah, the gunplay is so awesome in that game. I'm not much of a melee player, like with swords and like the Garrots. No,
Garrote. Yeah. Piano wire.
Yeah. So I don't do a lot of that flashy like quick movements and stuff. I like my gun, so I like peeking out and like. So I'm still it's the customization for your for the Ripper Doc stuff is a little overwhelming, slightly, but I'll get through it. I'm one of those like green arrow up good, type people. So yeah. So
Ripper Doc to the moon.
Yeah.
Josh Sawyer. Josh Sawyer has a really interesting video about like armor and stats in RPGs.
Yeah.
And he's like, one of the easiest ways to communicate these things is just number up and you're good. That the player knows, okay, this jacket, number up, okay, equip and run away real quick.
There are games like Diablo where I'll sit there and be, well, what does this give me? Because what is it? What do I need?
What's the stat breakdown?
Right, because if I want to just be a thief who focuses on poison application, like I'm gonna need to know. So yeah, but and it's gorgeous. The game is gorgeous. It runs well. So I'm having fun with it. But other than that, I haven't been playing anything else really. I've been playing Final Fantasy X on my Steam Deck. I never played it when I was younger. And I played like maybe an hour of it like 5-7 years ago. But I started it again, and man, it's another one of those instances in my life where Chrono Trigger was the first, where Chrono Trigger came out in the 90s, and then I played it in like 2009 or 10, and I was like, oh yeah, this is one of the greatest games of all time, like for sure. Within a couple hours I was like, this is incredible. And Final Fantasy X is I think like 5 hours in, I was like, this is really good, like good, despite being from 2002 2001.
Wow, that long ago, huh?
Yeah. Voice acting solid. You know, there are some, hiccups here and there, but the game looks good as for an HD remake because I think they had to rebuild it because I think they lost some of the code. But the game looks really good. It plays very well. It's one of the first JRPGs that I encountered where I don't know. I doubt Clair Obscur has this issue, but in JRPGs, if you didn't set up your team before specific battles, you kind of be screwed because they would take into account, like if you were fighting a flying enemy, you had nothing but melee characters, can't do anything to that character. Sure. So in Final Fantasy X, you have your 3 characters on the field, but you have your 2 like off-field characters. So at the tap of a button, like if I do encounter a flying enemy, you can hot swap to the next person, which I don't remember that happening a lot in other RPGs because otherwise they would just give you like Octopath Traveler, like I think gives you your whole team or at least up to 5 characters at least, so you don't have to worry about something like that. But yeah, that's been really good so far too. But I'm kind of taking games pieces at a time because I haven't had, once again, a moment or a full day to just I'm gonna do this all day.
Sure. So. Yeah. I've been playing Clair Obscur, getting further into that. There are flying enemies, but everybody has ranged attacks, like a basic shoot attack. Nobody is like a range-based character in Clair Obscur. I will say that there are characters that like Mael, who is played by Jennifer English, who was Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate 3. She has a really nice attack that if an enemy has, and enemies will have attacks that like put shields on them, and a shield absorbs an attack. So if you do 9,000 damage,
it doesn't matter, huh?
That shield absorbs the entirety of that attack. Now, if you have 2 attacks and each attack does 3,000 damage, it's 3,000 absorbed and then 3,000 and then 3,000 normally, right? But Mael has an attack that destroys all shields and she damages the enemy and gets a bonus for the number of shields, right, that she destroys.
Cool.
So it's like there are specific enemies that you'll face where it's like, oh man, if I had Mael in my party right now, or if I had, if there's an enemy that is really susceptible to fire damage, it's like, oh man, if I had Luna in my party right now because she has a bunch of her fire spells. But there's nothing where it's like, oh, my entire party is useless because of how the enemy is set up or something like that. There's nothing like that in Clair Obscur. I don't know. I'm having fun with Clair Obscur. I continue to be impressed with how it handles its writing, how it handles its dread. There is a sense of dread in the game because the characters all essentially have like a terminal illness. They're all sort of marching toward, you're not really sure if they actually believe they can be successful or not, because they're all sort of marching toward death. They're marching toward this inevitable, honorable defeat. But they're also trying not to get lost in despair. They're not trying to succumb to, succumb to despair and give up. So seeing characters and how they handle those things is interesting. And I think the game is well written. I will say, I'm not really sure how I feel about this, but so I do wish, so some of the bosses, they're optional bosses, but like some of the optional bosses, the entire thing is dodging and parrying. And then there are some optional bosses where you have to parry their attacks. And so it's like you can spend 30 minutes going through all your party's attacks and customizing all their abilities. And there's little perks you get that you assign to one specific party member. And if you win so many battles with that perk equipped, you can then equip that passively to your entire party, or to everybody. It doesn't have to be to one specific party member. So there's all kinds of stuff that you can do to change and customize how your party operates in combat. So it sucks when you do all that and you go up against the boss, and the boss has this gimmick where it's just like, no, you just have to learn how to parry and how to time their attacks. And it's just like, okay, do I really? Because I can do it. I can sit here and die 1,000 times until I get the beat down, like I'm playing a game of Guitar Hero where I just get the beat down of how to parry their attacks. It's like, do I feel like that? And also, man, I just spent 30 minutes customizing all their attacks. Can't I just fight a boss? Because there are when the combat does get really good because there are enemies that will like one shot your party, but their attacks are sort of easy to dodge or learn how to parry. So it's like you get into fights where you'll lose a party member, so you revive them, and it's this like you're like both doing damage to the boss and surviving at the same time. You know, it gets into that really nice rhythm, really nice challenge, and so that's the kind of thing I prefer. But I don't know. There's been lots of discussion about like parry mechanics and how they've become increasingly ubiquitous in video games, and they have. And if whether or not they like ruin combat, and I don't know if they ruin it. And the bosses that I've run across that are parry heavy are the optional special bosses. So it's like I don't have to take them on. But at the same time, it bothers me knowing that boss is still walking around being an asshole, and I don't get to kill them and get whatever I get for killing them, you know? So it's like I have to bang my head into a wall until I finally finish them. So yeah, playing that, I had a moment of weakness because college football season's coming up, and there's a new Pac-12, and I was like, God damn it. And so I reinstalled the College Football 25, which is just bad because I've got so many games to play and I just cannot go back into Dynasty mode. But that's exactly what I've done. So I'm back playing Dynasty.
He's back, baby.
And I don't know how long. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to like peel myself away from College Football 25 and focus on Clear Obscure or whatever. But man,
I'll pull some strings and get you banned from the game.
Yeah, I love college football so much. But the other day, I was just playing my Dynasty mode, and I was on defense, and the AI was driving, and I was like, okay, I gotta figure out what to do. So I'm mixing zone and man coverage, and so at one point, it's like third and short, and they line up. And I see their formation, and I just get a feeling. I'm like, you know what? They're going to run the ball. They're going to run it on third and short. So I check into a blitz, and it was perfect. I blitzed right into their play, and it just made me. I was basically like Steve Spagnuolo, circa 2007, holding the Patriots to 14 points. I felt like a genius. Now, of course, I was playing like Louisiana Tech State A&M, and I was beating them like 42-10. But like in that moment, I was just like, oh hell yeah, baby! I just called an amazing. I just checked into a blitz, get some, baby. I'm basically Bill Belichick. But anyway, and you could get that in any football game. But I haven't played a lot of Maddens, so I don't know how well Madden does this. But
You're not missing much.
But you can really read defenses in College Football 25. Like defenses will line up, and players are like slow enough, and blocking works most of the time well enough that when a linebacker is lined up in a place that you do not want, and you check away from it, it works. I feel like older sports games, it was just things were just like a cluster. If you ran the ball up the middle, it was just sort of a coin toss.
A blob.
Yeah, it was just a blob. But in this one, you know, nowadays it's like the blocking and all the hit boxes, for lack of a better word, are much more precise. So you can actually run between the tackles and run in tight spaces and stuff like that. So when you do check into a play or audible out of something else, it just feels really good, and it just makes me miss football. But I got to try and not play it because I got to play these other games. Yeah. So what are we at? We're at 23. One other game I like to mention is Dread Delusion. I have played Dread Delusion off and on, and my plan over this semi-vacation was to finish Dread Delusion and then try and finish Avowed, because I want to finish them both, and I like them both a lot. But I'm toward the end of Dread Delusion, and Dread Delusion is not a very good RPG, but goddamn is it well written. I cannot, like, every side story, every quest.
This is the low poly first person shooter. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dread Delusion is on my wish list. It has been since I first saw it, but it's similar to another game that's also on my list called Lunacid.
I think I've heard of that.
Lunascid. But it looks very, very similar.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. I think that's on my wish list as well.
And that one looked really cool. But anyways, I'm sorry. Keep going. Because I remember you how the villages like pray to certain gods of like certain things.
So
right?
yeah. So it's Yeah, it's about gods that have disappeared. There are 3 countries in Dread Delusion. There is Hallowshire, I think is the middle one. Then there's the Clockwork Kingdom and the Endless Realm. And there are these 3 countries that all have different things happening in them. So like the Clockwork country is a country, it's very Soviet, and it has like imagine like like clock-based automatons with like gears and stuff like that. So it's like instead of monsters being out in the land, it's like automatons that have gone nuts, and so they're just, they're hostile, trying to kill you. So it's pretty neat. And in the Endless Realm, it's in the Endless Realm, people can't die, so they're just continuously decaying. They're immortal.
Ooh.
But they want to die.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this dystopia where they're all like bored and they've lived so long that they're just like, what's the point in it? Like So, and some people go insane. So there are like these zombie bandits that just want to eat you.
Okay.
And because they've just lost their minds. But I'm getting to the end of it. The writing is just spectacular. I mean, the writing is just spectacular. It's just so good. The stories are enthralling. The characters are interesting. I'm even afraid to like spoil some of the things that happen, because when you like, we're in the Clockwork Kingdom, for example. The mystery in the Clockwork Kingdom is that things are just disappearing and people are forgetting things and nobody knows why. Like you'll walk up to a townsperson and they'll be like, I thought I owned a home here, but there's no home. And they're like, I can't decide whether or not I remembered ever owning a home here. And so the story in the Clockwork Kingdom is, why are people losing their memories, but also losing their possessions, entire buildings, little things, small things? That's the mystery. And when it unravels and when it gets explained to you, it's just so interesting. And it gets into like systems of governance and, is if an unjust system is also a system that's keeping something above water, does that justify that unjust system? So interesting questions like this. I can't, I'm going to be sad once the game ends, because the storylines are just so interesting. But the problem with the game is I just don't think it's a very good RPG. I did all magic.
Yeah.
And when you do a power attack, a heavy swing, it stuns an enemy. And you can like run at an enemy and attack and run away quicker than they attack you. So the combat's just really boring and samey. And then even though I've like upgraded my magic to the fullest, I still don't do a ton of damage with my like attack spells. So I just don't think it's a very good RPG. But it's good enough that that it doesn't dissuade me from playing, because the writing is just, I can't stress enough how good and how interesting a lot of the side stories are, how good the main story is, how good the soundtrack is, and also the art direction. I mean, all of these places are like equally fascinating, and you can see things in the distance. So like in the Endless Realm, there's a dragon that flies. And so you'll be in Clockwork Kingdom doing stuff, and you'll look out into the distance, and all across these, because it takes place in islands that are in the sky, and way across you can see the dragon flying around out there. It's just so freaking cool. And all of the castles and the architecture are neat. In the Endless Realm, because everybody's dead, everything is like tombs and ossuaries. So there's like tombstones everywhere, and there are giant buildings with like chiseled skeletons and stuff on it. It's very neat. And the Clockwork Kingdom, it's very Soviet. Everything is like sort of I don't know how to put it. It almost looks modern, but it's all like diesel punk, whatever. What's that thing? Not diesel punk. What's the other one?
Steampunk?
Steampunk, thank you. What's the other thing that powers stuff? It's like
nuclear.
Steam, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like steampunk, and it rusted, and there's like rough metals everywhere, and everywhere you go there's giant,
Everyone has goggles.
yeah, there's goggles and gas masks, and you'll find buildings, like there's a building with an elevator in it that takes you way high up, and you can see all the gears turning inside of it, and you can hear that as like all these things are like clicking and working. It's just it's so good. And yeah, if you guys ever get a chance, highly recommend. Okay, are we ready to hit the news?
Yeah,
let's hit the news. Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Stop Killing Games, but I don't really know where to start. And I'm not sure where, like, okay, what have you guys seen? What have you guys, like, do you guys have any thoughts off the top of your head? I think I'll start off with this. I think from a theoretical standpoint, I don't think there's my knowledge of like network architecture and how these things work. I have no idea if what they're asking for is actually like unreasonable or not. I have no idea. I have seen devs say different things, and of course, once everybody starts arguing on social media, then it just doesn't matter. Right. You have to dig through so much bullshit to find out like what
someone who knows what they're talking about or whatever.
But like the idea that the idea that multiplayer games should have a way to that you can at least play offline, or a way to host your own server or something like that. Like I don't know, that doesn't seem unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
The economics of it, I have no idea. The actual technicalities of it, I have no idea. One thing that popped into my mind is something like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024.
Disgusting.
But because your stream content.
Yeah.
And how big is the game without streaming?
4 terabytes.
So it's like if you were to have a law or something, like, I don't know, how would you get around that? What kind of laws would you have to make, in order to keep Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, because it's a 4 terabyte game? Because presumably if Microsoft decides we don't want to do this anymore, that streaming content is then cut, and then I assume the game can't be played, or at least large portions of it can't be.
No, it is always streamed. Yeah. If you drop internet connection, you cannot even access the main menu.
Yeah, so it's like, just as one example, it's like, I don't know how you would solve that problem. There are people that may have solutions, but then there are other games that I assume have similar problems. But just from a theoretical standpoint, the idea that, hey, games, we need a way that, when, like, as much as we all dislike Anthem, there should be a way that Anthem doesn't just get killed. It's not even 10 years old yet. But anyway, I'm sorry. Sucking all the air out of the room. What do you guys think? Top level.
There's so much to it. And it's tough to like kind of start talking about it. Unless you want to start.
I was just gonna say, in an idealized way, yes, there should be a way for us to enjoy the games that we enjoy for.
Yeah.
Is that practical? I can't answer that.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're all going to.
And I am somebody who approaches this topic a bit cynically, only because my personality refuses to like understand the plight of what everyone wants. I think we are technology-wise far past the days of having your own Counter-Strike server or your own like Battlefield server. Once again, I'm not going to try to pretend I know anything about game development or like how things work, but there was a time where every first-person shooter had a co-op mode or multiplayer mode. Then what happened, at least from my understanding, is that we can't even get the game running correctly with one player. Want us to create 2 field of views looking 2 different directions, but still keep 60 frames a second, still keep these graphics, which is probably doable in the right hands, but because capitalism has ruined everything and making money comes first before, creating a good game, it's caused 2 things to happen. One, which we always talk about, is the hype machine. Gamers know there's something bigger, better on the horizon always, and majority of people who play a game will move on to the next when something comes out or something catches their interest. So the last thing is left to die. And whenever we talk about something like Stop Killing Games, I always think about, and this is where the cynicism comes in. I think about like The Crew, the Ubisoft game, racing game, The Crew. Came out, it's fine. Like, it was a fine game. And then they came out with the second one. And then they came out with the third one. And then they're like, hey, we're shutting down the first one. When that news came, I was like, okay, whatever. Because I can't, in my mind, as much as some people may have liked that game, like, how worth it is it to keep that thing running?
Yeah.
Especially when, like, what's it worth to Ubisoft to keep that running? And I know that sounds awful, but it's just because, unlike comic books, unlike movies, unlike music, you can't just slap it on another media and put it out. Yeah.
So I think what the Stop Killing Games people would, I think they, because like their FAQ kind of addresses that question, and I think they would agree, and I don't think they're asking companies to, like, I don't think they're asking, EA to hold servers for every Madden ever made. I think it is. I mean, it is. I don't think they say it themselves. It's not about saying these companies need to do it themselves, but they do need to somehow facilitate a way where if you want to host your own The Crew server, you can. And that's where we run into the technical limitations of like, because like, for example, over last summer or a couple months ago, I played a lot of V Rising, right? And I had a buddy who has a PC where that runs on Linux, and he hosted a V Rising server there, and that was the one we all played on, right? So it's like, so we were playing our own V Rising game on a server that was hosted literally by my friend in his closet. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so we're self-sustained, because I don't think we were getting anything from like the development team unless they updated something, right? So at that point, if you cut all our wires that led and killed all the Wi-Fi connections that led to the developer and led to their servers or whatever, I assume we could keep playing on the server that was on his PC, So it's like, I know there are ways to do certain multiplayer games like that, but like, again, I don't know if every single multiplayer game is set up like that, and so that's the thing. But I do know for a fact that the Stop Killing Gives initiative is not asking companies to do that themselves, because yes, there are, and there's also like economic considerations, which is what you're bringing up. Like, it's just not economically feasible to continuously ask. And the other thing is like, I don't know. I think one side of this conversation that is somewhat related is like how many games out there have online connectivity, sort of online sort of, I don't know, not modes, but have to connect to the internet for one way or another, and they don't need to. They have it because it's like some weird, I don't know, they do it for some weird like live service type. Like, remember Hitman? Like, I think when Hitman first came out, you needed to have an internet connection to play even the single player portion. I think that's true. I remembered that. Yeah. Because I remember, like, if you got disconnected, it would say disconnected, and and I think you'd even be kicked out of certain games. Now there are certain, but even so, it's like, so why would you need that? Like, why did Hitman need that? And I think at the time, a lot of people didn't like that. So I think there are instances like that where it's just like, and I think if we Googled it, we could find more where it's like, single player games or games that don't have that don't need online connectivity, that still have them anyway. And if you don't connect, you get like harassed one way or the other. And so what we need is like these companies to somehow make that user experience easier, where when they decide to cut off the servers or whatever, the thing is still usable and it's not annoying.
Yeah, and that is a question that I have had with specific games, because I'm not all against something like that. Like, of course I want games to survive.
Sure.
But 2015's Need for Speed, I think, is just called Need for Speed. But you had to be online always, even to play the single player mode.
Yeah, which is dumb.
But that was at the height of EA's.
Yeah, of course.
Pure online.
Oh, sure.
Mode.
Yeah, but it kind of came with that. If you just sat back and thought about it, it's like, well, the only reason why I need to be online all the time is to see these other players running around my world. Why is that?
There is an answer. It's not the answer.
Sure.
But a lot of what happens on the back end is it's called a heartbeat. and it's checking to make sure the game is running, and then getting performance feedback from the game.
Got it.
And that is it's a big part.
Well,
It's probably like a big basis of it. I'm sure they like a building block.
If we're having issues, one of the things we'll do is we will pull up our entire traffic data, and we will check for those heartbeats.
Okay.
If we are not seeing them consistently, then there's an issue between us and the servers, and that needs to
Yeah, I guess the question I would ask then is in the context of Need for Speed, why would you need that sort of structure?
Yeah, right. And the same,
and that's where the limitations of my technical understandings.
Yeah.
I am more comfortable speculating because Need for Speed has a single player component that has nothing to do with like a live service mechanic, whereas Microsoft Flight Simulator, obviously you have streaming content, you have more, there is more.
So where it starts is it does start from a technical standpoint, because that lead is there. There's that connection between the end user and the developer's database of information, of technical information, hacking onto it. Well, since we have that online connection, we can do this, we can do this. And then you get Need for Speed, predominantly single player, with some multiplayer aspects, because they were pulling performance data and other things too. But performance data, use it like how play the game, what modes are more popular, achievement tracking for seeing how people actually are interacting with the game.
Yeah. And I would argue that if you so we're having a couple different conversations here. I would argue that one, we should be able to turn that off because it's annoying. But two, because you know what, Electronic Arts, I don't give a shit if you don't get my data and don't know how to build a data set so you know what kind of fucking car I'm driving. But two, but the other thing is too, one, I accept that risk. If I turn it off in the options, something where if I turn it off in the options menu, I know what I'm getting. But also two, like, I feel like there has to be contexts where that stuff just isn't needed, like for a single player portion of a video game or something like that.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty of
yes, but no. Yes, it's not needed, but what it does is it provides feedback for future installments, future updates for the game. The data feedback that comes through that is very important for development. Not just of that game, but future projects. And you cannot rely on the community to hand that stuff over willingly. You will get a small dedicated group that will, but it's not a big sample. It's not a big sample size.
Well, I'm getting above my pay grade here. It's hard for me to believe that suddenly the industry is so dependent on data getting back to you that for the past 10 or 15 years, every single online forced connectivity issue in a video game has since SimCity, in 2013 has been done because if EA didn't get the data on where you're building a road, they're going to fold and fire everybody, which they're going to do anyway, so it's just like, I don't know.
And of course, that's not what I'm getting, but there is, even for single player games, there is important information gleaned from how the game works. And without, inflating the budget already, it's hard to get the wide berth of
sure
data sets that you can get from everyone playing than, less than 100 testers, all with semi-consistent rigs, with consistent setups.
But and of course, we're getting off track here because the other thing is nobody is asking companies. Again, they're not asking Ubisoft to pay for and maintain the crew servers.
Yeah,
they're asking for ways where once Ubisoft decides to end it themselves, that players can somehow take ownership, not ownership, but ownership in a non-legal sense, where they can operate servers themselves. I think it's the same thing with like games, right?
Yeah.
As soon as somebody stops selling games, there should be a way where it's like, okay, what's a game that's not sold anymore?
Shit, I can't. I don't know, man.
Jade Empire. I don't know. Is Jade Empire on Steam?
It's on Steam, yes it is.
Okay.
Atari's ET.
Okay, so there. So it's like nobody's selling this. To find a copy, you have to find a physical copy and piss off Richard by asking if you can have it for free. So it's like at this point, it should just be thrown online because it's abandonware, right? So I think that's sort of the similar idea is if you're not going to support the crew anymore, fine, it's abandoned. Allow the people that want to play it to somehow do it. I agree with that ideologically. I think that's pretty reasonable. Mm-hmm. What I don't know is like the technical details of that. So that's back to my original point. But
I wonder how long this would take for Ubisoft to be like, and EA and like, oh well, yeah. I mean, if you want the crew still up, just
here's
pay us $3 a month for server space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have it as long as you want.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and it sucks having a conversation like this because me and Tyler, more than Connor, don't know what the fuck we're talking about. So it's like
I barely know what I'm talking about.
But at least you have.
I just crash planes for a living.
You have something, some experience in it. But it's easy enough to sit back here and be like, oh yeah, like I would love to play Division just by it myself. Just cut out those drop zones and that's it, and just make it single player.
Yes, because there are.
But I know you can't do that because the game is built from the ground up with that multiplayer experience in mind.
Yeah, we have unknown unknowns. Yeah. There are things we do not know that we do not know about game development and network architecture.
And the way every game is barely held together. I'm serious.
No, I know, yeah.
The most ridiculous things are tied together. Yes, like people like, yeah, I should be able to have a single player component of this game. Okay, but there are some things that are dependent on features that are exclusively on the multiplayer side, just for internal game running performance.
That's like the time where someone fixed all of Colonial Marines' issues because of a comma or something, or a semicolon.
Really?
Yeah, like all the AI issues of that game is because they put in a semicolon instead of a comma or something.
Really? I've never heard
Once
of that.
they changed that, the AI was like infinitely better. Not like perfect, but
I did not know that.
Yeah,
man, it was probably Randy Pitchford.
Maybe
he was probably sitting there. He was typing in magician porn, and he accidentally. He was like, "Oh, I've got the text editor up." And
Gearbox made it. Sega published it. That's us.
Yeah. He's like, "I'm typing in, fucking, I don't know. I can't think of any magicians.
Only magicians.
Burt Wonderstone. There's a weird. That's a magician movie.
Yeah.
He's like Burt Wonderstone, MILF, and he's like, "Oh no, I accidentally put a comma. No, aliens, Colonial Marines sucks. Oh god."
But yeah, every game is barely running. It is astounding that video games even work.
The other thing about stop killing games that I do think is funny is because people are really passionate about this, and I think that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about preservation too, and if I sound milquetoast on this, it's just because I don't know anything about network architecture, so I'm not gonna. So I can't say, EA, let me host my own Battlefront servers, and because I have no idea what's entailed with that, and at the same time, I'm sure. Because like a UK games, like their game lobby like sent out a statement saying this was like not a good idea, and I'm skeptical toward that because the ESA is always like, if you get rid of loot boxes, the world will die. It's like okay ESA, you need to be put to bed. But the other thing, so I don't know. Do you guys follow Pirate Software? Do you guys know of him?
I try not to.
I when I first encountered him, his videos would, because the algorithm would be like, oh, you watch this guy for like 2 seconds, here's more of him, And there were things that I would watch that like I was entertained by, and eventually I was just like, oh, I don't, whatever. Like and then I like went away, and then like, using the word allegations, there's no allegation, but just like when people were like, hey, you notice this about him, then it like kind of clicked with me, and I was like, oh, that's why I just kind of, because I kind of like
Like,
realize things about him, how he
Sure.
would say things, how he would, and so I was like, oh, okay. And
I just
now
thought
I'm just
it
like,
was,
eh.
I just thought it was funny because he's apparently been like at a villain in this whole thing for some. He certainly is the villain of the piece, but I really have no idea why because I'm not going to follow up on the drama. But I do know that I saw him. I watched one of his streams where he was talking about David Szymanski charging like $8 for Iron Lung instead of $6. Like, remember David Szymanski? I don't know if you guys remember
no,
this.
yes.
I thought
You
it was
talk about him every week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Okay,
kidding,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
kidding.
I've got a crush on the guy, but he just makes the greatest horror games of all time.
He's a great last name.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you threw me off. Now I'm
Sorry.
just thinking about David Szymanski. I'm thinking about Squirrel Stapler, and I'm thinking about You Are Sleeping. No, but he increased the price of Iron Lung, which I thought was fine because it's a solo developer
Yeah.
taking their game from $6 to $8, you know, and people like freak the fuck out. But I remember watching one of Pirate Software's like streaming videos where he was talking. Apparently, he didn't like. This is a long time ago. I'm paraphrasing. He didn't like it, and he was doing the thing where he was doing like a John Madden thing where he was like drawing in paint.
Yeah.
You know, but his stream was like paint, and he was in the corner, so you're watching him stream. So it was like the John Madden thing where he's like, you know, I'm the linebacker here in the line. But instead he's like, David Szymanski did this. But drawing didn't make any sense there because he just like made a couple boxes and like put an X in one. And I was like, what? I thought it was just so bizarre because I was like, how is this helping you explain the situation at all? Anyway, I just thought it was funny. That's just a stupid story. That's my extent of Pirate Software. That, and apparently everybody hates him for some reason. I don't know. So we can all agree on a few things, and that is Pirate Software, bad guy, Superman, woke.
His dad is the World of Warcraft South Park guy.
Really?
Yeah, they based
I thought his
they
dad
based him off of that.
I thought his dad was Bobby Kotick, man.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
just
World
stupid.
of Warcraft.
Yeah, right.
And
He
the guy on
owns the same company. Yeah.
South Park World of Warcraft guy. Okay, is there anything else we want to say? I will nitpick one thing. Sorry, from Stop Killing Games. In their FAQ, one of the questions is, why should people care about publishers destroying video games? And it starts off with, well, video games are primarily just for entertainment and not of much consequence.
Oh, wow.
Come on. I read
555,
that.
come on now.
I was like, why would you say that? Why do you have to be all self-conscious about video games?
Yeah.
No, fuck it. Video games are the greatest thing in the world. They're profound. They're amazing.
Because
They're
gamers
art.
are cringe, Tyler. That's why.
By far, it is the media that makes the most money. So
Yeah,
why is
it's
it
like
still,
they're incredible.
talked down upon?
If you're in love, you say it at the top of a mountain. There's a scene in Midnight in Paris, which is a Woody Allen movie, but what's that? Owen Wilson. He plays He plays a writer that goes back in time, and he meets Ernest Hemingway, and he's like, Ernest Hemingway's like, "Are you a writer?" And Owen Wilson's like, "Oh wow, yeah, I'm a writer." And Ernest Hemingway's like, "If you're a writer, proclaim you're the best writer. Although you're not the best writer because I am, unless you want to put gloves on and settle it." Like, so it's this like, are you the best? Say you're the fucking best, but you're not because I'm the best. So it's like, you love video games? Say you fucking love video games. God damn it, proclaim it because it's true. You know. Anyway, sorry. Okay, are we ready to?
Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay, so this Battlefront 2 Resurgence. I had some thoughts on this. But what have you guys seen and heard about this? And why are you guys secretly playing Battlefront 2 together behind my back and not telling me?
Because we hate you.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because I secretly have always thought Battlefront 2 was a good game. I don't know.
wish EA would do less with Battlefront.
I can agree with that. I don't know. I woke up one day and all of a sudden everybody's playing Battlefront 2.
Yeah, I had like 30,000 concurrent players or something.
What happened? I forgot what happened. Because I do know that there was a catalyst for this.
So as far as I know, I don't know if there's been any one reason, but like Epic gave it out for free a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it's always on sale for like $5.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's just a demand for like Star Wars video games. And so people just sort of latched onto this one because it's super cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, I don't think it's been supported for like a couple of years now. So people hopped into it and they're like, hey, this isn't half bad. But it's fascinating to me because Battlefront 2 is like one of the most surreal games I ever played. because it was so disappointing in so many ways. And maybe it's better now. I don't know how they updated it. I didn't play it much, like a year and a half after it released. But when I was a child, if you gave me a choice between Star Wars Battlefront 3 and like World Peace, I would in a second choose Star Wars Battlefront 3.
Jesus.
So it's like this.
Let the nukes fly, baby.
Yeah, I was like, hey, baby, hit the Fallout with me. And I just, and they're fucking, like that scene in Fallout where the little girl's holding her thumb in the mushroom cloud. Me in the corner, I've just got like Battlefront 3. I've got 5 seconds. That's enough time for Mos Eisley. But like, that's what I would choose. So Battlefront 2 was just such a disappointment on so many levels, and the single player was just so bad. And now it's like this, I don't know, it's like, again, it's so weird. It's like, again, we have people pining for a Battlefront 3. And it's just so weird that twice now, it's weird that there are games that will never get a sequel. Like, I don't know if we'll ever get a Half-Life 3. Maybe one day, who knows, but not right now. And Left 4 Dead 3, who knows? Are we ever going to get another Splinter Cell? They say they're remaking it, who knows? But it's just like, imagine not getting something and then not getting it again. Like, that's this situation here. And I'm never going to not be mad at Electronic Arts for that. And I think I would love a Battlefront 3, but I think what needs to be said is it should be a follow-up to Pandemic's Battlefront, not EA's, because I think there are distinctions and how the game's played that are important, because I think Pandemic's Battlefronts were better. They're older and they don't, they don't hold up as well, I guess, on modern systems and stuff, but they were like grander, you actually controlled the AT-AT. They were closer to Battlefield, where the Battlefronts tried to find their own place and do their own thing, and they were like a live service thing, and it ended up just sort of petering out. And
can't have pink Darth Vader.
Yeah, and you can't have pink Darth Vader. And I don't know, EA is now in a position where, like, they've talked about not doing licensed games anymore, and I don't know if they're interested. I was telling my wife this. It's like Electronic Arts, I feel like there are 2 things happening in Electronic Arts right now. There's Hazelight,
yes,
which is like relatively, I'm going to assume, cheap. It's like smaller games, and EA is okay with that. And then there's Battlefield needs to have 100 million players. So it is a tale of extremes where Electronic Arts is like, it's either Joseph Ferris and his cool co-op games or world domination. Nothing in between. There is nothing in between. We can't have, it's like Respawn, once you're done with the next Star Wars Jedi game, you're getting right back to work on Apex Legends, and you're not going to make a peep, So there's no Titanfall. Sorry, no Titanfall 3, another game that people would love a sequel to. Because it's like nothing that isn't FIFA numbers or Ferris. You can't have that in the middle. And I feel like Battlefront, you could make a Battlefront that has like that would sit in that middle somewhere and be pretty cool, and and make money and stuff like that. But EA would want to turn it into a big live service project, and I don't know if they have the patience for that. I don't know if they want to share the money because it's a Disney property. So it's
and you gotta front the money, a lot of money first.
So
to use
you
that.
have that problem as well, and who would work on it, because they have like 1,000 studios working on Battlefield right now. So it's like, are they really gonna are they really gonna chop off a piece of dice and have them work on another Battlefront game? I don't know. So it's another thing that Electronic Arts, it's just another failure of Electronic Arts. Electronic Arts has failed BioWare. I think they failed Battlefield, and I think they have failed like Battlefront now. I think Dead Space is another good example. I think Dead Space 2 is never going to make FIFA money. That's obvious. But I think Dead Space 2 could make a good chunk of change. But because it wasn't going to make FIFA numbers, and because it wasn't going to be as cheap as Hazelight's games, it cannot exist. Because the mid-tiered, they're like not interested in that. And that disappoints me. So yeah, sorry. I guess this is just a roundabout way of how disappointing it is that it's like, again, for the second time in 20 years, there are people that are just pining for a Battlefront 3, and we're not going to get it, and that's just too bad. And we're definitely never going to get an evolution of Pandemic's formula, which I believe is the better formula. And that just sucks because it's a formula that I think would work. It's a formula that people still emulate. There is this World War I game called Over the Top World War I, and it's Star Wars Battlefront, but World War I. Third person, class-based multiplayer, battlefield structure. It's Star Wars Battlefront. But, yeah, we're never going to get that, and I don't know, it just sucks. And, yeah, and I dislike EA for it a lot. And yeah, so, sorry, is there anything you guys would like to say? I kind of just needed to get that off my chest.
I like Battlefront 2.
No, and it's not that I hate Battlefront 2.
Right,
it's
right.
just
Well, it's nothing special. It's just Battlefield with Star Wars layered over. That's all it is.
I think the most fun I had with it was when a group of friends set up just a 1v1 jetpacks and rockets, so we would swap off.
That must have been fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that I would want though, because there is a fundamental difference, because it is similar to Battlefield, but because the original Battlefronts were conquest based. You know, you spawned on a base, and there's the vacant tanks that you could hop into, or you could run and go take a base or whatever. And that's not how Battlefield is anymore. At least not since Battlefield 5. I didn't play 2142, but that's the kind of structure I would want, and that's not really what Battlefront 2 was. Because if you remember in Battlefront 2, it's like, the AT-AT would walk along the ground in a dedicated path. It was like a part of the game mode. Was like push kind of. And I think they had conquest and stuff like that, but it wasn't the same structure as your Battlefield Bad Companies, where you would spawn at a base and all your vehicles are there and you hop into that kind of thing. So my fantasy would just be Star Wars Battlefront 2, but you take that structure, you modernize it. And like I said, the EA's Battlefront 2 is close to Battlefield, but it tried to differentiate itself in ways, because I think maybe they didn't want to make it too close to Battlefield, because then maybe you cannibalize on your own property or something like that. But and also it had a lot of tie-ins, which I guess is fine. But yeah. And I this is totally different. But I remember in the first game, I was so upset in the first Battlefront how they separated starfighter combat from the rest of on-ground combat, and starfighter combat was its own game mode.
Yeah.
That was so strange. And it took place in atmosphere. It wasn't in space. That was so bizarre. It's just EA's Battlefronts are just so weird and mismanaged and strange. And the other thing is I forget the guy who played Finn. I forget his name. John Boyega. Yeah, he was we need a single player mode, and I was okay, great. So they did the single player mode, and the single player mode was way more conceptually heavy than it needed to be. I feel like a Battlefront single player mode doesn't need Battlefront again. Pandemic's Battlefront 2 was perfect because it was a history documentary where the gameplay was essentially the same as instant action, and it's single player and the multiplayer levels. But instead, it's abstracted it so that instead of you fighting just a normal conquest, it gave you little objectives you did step by step. And then the cutscenes, you didn't have to dig into Star Wars lore to understand the cutscenes. It was just very basic. Oh, the 501st we fought here, it sucked. And then the next the next planet was and this planet, it was hot on Tatooine and
it sucked.
And it sucked. And people were eaten by the Womp Rats and Sarlacc Pit. So it was a history documentary, and that was kind of neat. That's a cool way to tell a war story, Anyway, there's my ramble for the day. I don't know, it's just, I tell you guys that I wake up and it's woke up at the sound of thunder, and it's with me, I think about Halo
David
Infinite
Zemeckis.
Oh,
and how cool Halo Infinite could have been. Well, right after that, it's like Battlefront. If I could just, manifest Battlefront into the world. Okay, I'm sorry. Are we good to? Are we good to move on? Or do you want to make fun of me?
No, I'm going to show you something after the podcast that I visualized how this worked.
What are we? We're at a minute 05.
An hour 05.
An hour. Oh, I said a minute 05. We're at an
Barely
hour
into the
05.
podcast.
Do we?
We got no so just like this week, like tidbits have been.
We got nothing.
Where are they? Where are they?
We got nothing.
And then tidbits I have found like would grow into the bigger conversation. So I just kind of was like, I'm not going to deal with this right now.
Okay, well, we don't have to talk about it then. Does anybody else have anything they want to get off their chest at all?
Gamers.
I was actually gonna just make a joke about the flight sim community
and how great they are.
Sure. There's a forum post you can find that someone identified that a plane is using the incorrect fuel type because it has the fuel weight is too much for that type of fuel.
Nice. Okay, that's cool.
I hate our community.
I love aviation videos. Just because like I was playing all those World War II flight sims. Mm-hmm. Do you know that scene in The Office where they go to the restaurant where like the cooks?
Yeah.
What's that place? There's a famous
Benihana.
Benihana. Yeah, they go to a Benihana and like the cooks are like chopping up like meat on a grill right in front of them, And Dwight is talking with the chef and he's like, "You should use this type of knife." And he's like backseat cooking with the chef, and the guy's like, "Oh no, this knife is better at cutting tuna or whatever." And Dwight's like, "I don't know." Like he gets into this cringe argument with the chef arguing about knives. Anyway, I have got that a little bit with airplanes now, because I remember back when I started getting into flight sims. Like if I flew on a airplane somewhere. And the TV in front of you can watch movies, but you can also like bring up the HUD of like the aircraft, that it shows you like the banks and stuff like that. So I brought that up and the plane like turned for a second and I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're doing a 5-degree bank to port, huh? All right. Nice. I see what you're doing there." Like as if I have some real understanding about aviation or something like that. But man, when I watch IL-2 videos, it makes me feel like the dumbest man alive, because these guys the guys will talk through their like dogfighting and they're like, "Yeah, I've got energy here and I'm just going to go ahead and gun him. And now I'm nose down and I'm going to pick up altitude and I'll cut in at about 300 meters. And now because I'm in the BF 109, I'm just going to go ahead and go straight. Don't want to bank. That'll cut my energy." And of course, when I'm flying, I'm just like,
throttle up, guns go.
My throttle's up, and I'm flying as fast as I can. Anyway, I need to play more. Okay, I'm sorry. Follow us, youtube.com/gamingdiscourse, patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye.